Hello everyone, my name is Briya Patel and I will be talking to you about my research on language and identity, attitudes towards heritage languages in the construction of mixed heritage individuals' identities, and the importance of this topic. So often the term mixed race is used, but as you can see I've used the term mixed heritage, and this is because mixed heritage is much more versatile and inclusive, whereas mixed race focuses more on race rather than race and ethnicity as a whole. And I'll be talking a little bit more about the terminology used for mixed heritage persons later on. So my research focused on people from 2 or more ethnicities biologically, so it wouldn't be a person whose parents were born in another country, but it would be based on their DNA biologically. So it's also on how they personally identified in terms of their ethnic background and what their perceived attitudes were towards their heritage languages also. And my motivation towards this study is based on my very own ethnic background. So I myself identify as a mixed heritage person. I'm Indian and Antiguan, which is in the Caribbean. My heritage language is Gujarati, but I cannot speak it fluently. I have basic level of the language, so I was embarrassed throughout my life of not being fluent in my heritage language, and I always felt negatively towards that and felt I wasn't good enough. And I wondered whether others who also identified as mixed heritage felt the same way, because I'd met lots of different people throughout my life, and some of them who were from a mixed background knew 2 or 3 languages, and others were like me and didn't know any. And also the literature for this topic is focused on attitudes of monoracial individuals. Therefore, there appears to be a gap in the research, as a lot of the research done on mixed heritage people is on either one race or is on mixed persons of a black and white background. And mixed heritage persons often feel I'll briefly cover the research design in the next slide, which I used to collect data. I used a mixed method approach. The quantitative data consisted of 50 online questionnaires with multiple choice questions and Likert scale statements of hypothetical scenarios, which were like, if you had children in the future, would you like them to know their heritage language? And also statements like, culture is important to me, or culture is important to me as a mixed heritage person. It would be statements like this. This gained more understanding of the mixed heritage participants' identities. The qualitative data consisted of 4 online semi-structured interviews. I then analysed this via thematic analysis. The findings of this study imply that the interview respondents were mostly intrinsically motivated towards learning their heritage languages. However, there were underlying factors such as language, anxiety, caused by judgment, lack of self-confidence, and discouragement from family members. These were influenced by parental influence and judgment of strangers also towards their mixed background, and more so on their lack of heritage language use. So I have an example of judgment on the following slide, One of my interview participants, Gunga, stated that I think there's more judgment put on you as a mixed person. I think you have a liberty when you are monoracial. I think that the best term to pick and choose. Whereas if I was somebody who was not interested in my language, or I'm not interested in this, that's automatically, oh, she's not interested in that side. Oh, she's not interested in her roots. That's because she's mixed. So this was prevalent throughout the participants and the respondents for the questionnaire, that they were judged purely on their mixed background and not treated as a whole person, but rather you're half this and half that. And this becomes an issue when monoracial individuals, some don't even know their heritage languages, but they are quick to judge those from a mixed background. Similarly, Herminia, another participant, felt the judgment was laced with assumptions. She stated that once people found out her ethnic background, they would ask if she spoke the heritage language, and she would find, by how they were questioning her and responding to her replies, that it was rooted in judgment. This also ends up causing or being a significant cause towards language anxiety. And if we go back to this slide, mixed heritage persons often feel that if they know a heritage language on only one side of their background, then they are betraying the other side. Or, in another instance, if there is only one heritage language, it may also look as if they are making lots of effort on one side and don't care about the other. People from a mixed background want to belong, and there seems to be conflict in many areas, because this has a conflict on their identity and their sense of belonging, and it causes quite a lot of language anxiety, as well as the motivation to want to learn the heritage language. There are also cultural aspects linked to heritage languages, which create identities, a sense of belonging, and snippets of words and phrases from their language create a connection between their family, their heritage, their roots. So without this, there is a sense of being lost. And I'll talk about the importance of the issue. There are societal perceptions, assumptions, and stereotypes of mixed heritage persons. A few examples include how the term mixed race is constantly used. Although one of the better terms to describe a person from a mixed background, it's still not the best term. The British Sociological Association made claims that the term itself was misleading, as it suggests that a pure race exists. It is still used today informally and in academic settings. Following on from this, the census, including the most recent 2021 UK census, have all mixed categories mixed with white. This follows on from the claim that the term suggests a pure race exists. I myself have found it extremely frustrating filling out a form and ticking mixed other, because why are we other? This suggests that we are different and we don't belong in an ethnicity or a category. Not that we need to categorize everyone, but it would be nice to fit somewhere. Additionally, the stereotypes that the media have on mixed persons in London is that we are one group of people and that we are marooned between communities. This is quite irrational for a multicultural city like London to be having, and it's quite embarrassing for such a multicultural city where there's lots of different ethnicities and cultures and people born from different countries living in London. Finally, this leads to a continued frustration of being identified solely based on ethnic background and not as an individual. Mixed heritage individuals are all unique based on their ethnicities, culture, but more importantly, individuality. So finally, I'd like to end this by saying, like anyone, they wish to be accepted for who they are as an individual, because we all have one thing in common: we are all human. Thank you.